Back to the Future is directed by Robert Zemeckis and stars Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly and Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. This tells a story about Marty McFly, who's a down-on-his-luck student that has a really terrible home life despite having a pretty cute girlfriend. And when he and Doc Brown send Einstein to the future and is able to prove the time machine does work in the DeLorean, they get attacked by a group of terrorists that kill Doc Brown. And Marty McFly escapes in the time-traveling DeLorean and unfortunately ends up in the past. And now he's trying to find his way back to the future. But not only that, because he ran into his parents and now his mother is in love with him, he has to fix their relationship in order to make sure he's able to stay alive in the future. Now, Back to the Future is, in my opinion, Robert Zemeckis' best film. I think not only is it his best shot film, his best directed film, but the characters in this movie are absolutely fantastic. You got Mrs. and Mr. McFly, you got Marty and Doc and their relationship, you got his parents who are teenagers, and you got Biff, and you got the principal. I mean, this movie is full of memorable characters that each of them feel like they stand out. Even the ones that have very little screen time, like the principal, he really does stand out in the film. And Marty McFly and Doc Brown in this film have excellent chemistry. It's not explored that these two characters know each other for a very long time, but you can tell by the way they perform their characters, these are two people that have known each other for a long time, that can deal with each other despite both of their shenanigans, and have a very close friendship with one another. You really do feel like this is one of the only people in the world that Marty McFly can really talk to and be himself around. He's willing to go out at night and just hang out with this apparently crazy old man who really isn't that crazy. Sure, I mean, he is crazy, but not in like a bad way. He's just really into his work. And Marty McFly really understands that. In the beginning, that's set up very well, in which Doc Brown is showing Marty his new invention. And because in just a short matter of time, you're able to buy into their relationship, into their banter, into their performances, you're already growing a great attachment to them. Their first scene, Truly Together, really solidifies their character and we immediately love them. And then it really hits us when Doc Brown gets shot also in that same scene. And we're wondering what is going on and what is going to happen. Surely some time travel has to be involved, and it does. And when Mark goes back to the past, his whole 1985 turns different. And now he has to meet a younger Doc Brown in order to fix everything that has happened. And that means he has to restart an old friendship with this guy. And how these two start out is how we could sort of think how these two characters might have met at first. Like they really don't know each other, but because of how weird they are and how much they know, they really start to form that friendship real quickly again. And by the end, since we already know how these characters are in their present, and now how we've seen them act in the past, and how they banter off with one another, whenever they had to say goodbye, it really does hit us home. Because we knew that these are two characters that at one point spent a whole lot of time together, and all of a sudden, that was apparently taken away from Marty. And he's trying to do his best to try and prevent that when he is given a chance to go to the future finally. He needs to figure out a way to fix that also. Not only just his parents. And we'll get to that right now. Marty McFly trying to fix his parents' teenage years is really entertaining and awkward. It is fun whenever George McFly has to help himself, basically, also getting the help of Marty McFly. But at the end, it just ends up with a George having to work for himself. Like how near the end of the film, when Marty McFly makes this elaborate plan for his mother and father to get together, it backfires on his face because Biff is there to be a bully and trying to beat him up so that he could get with Elaine. And so, yeah, that means George McFly has to get in there and confront Biff himself, which does fix their relationship in the movie. But not only are they just together, their relationship has now greatly improved, and despite the future being changed, it changed for the better. That is good luck. And it might be a little bit, I don't know what's the word I'm trying to find here. But it might have been a little bit too much out there. But in terms of a storytelling perspective, this is a great subversion that really gave George McFly the character development he needed, because he starts out as very nervous, both as an adult and as a teenager. And gradually throughout his time with Marty and trying to do his best to impress Elaine.
Apologies for getting Lorraine's name wrong. Please forgive me, guys. I have seen the movie. I have the Blu-ray in the back.
He is able to form the courage to stand up to this guy who at first does start off as a typical bully, but gradually becomes even more menacing and more, I wouldn't say terrifying, because he is not like a terrifying villain, but he becomes more sadistic in the way he bullies and treats other people, especially Elaine. Like, he's willing to have anything he wants, no matter what. And for this scrawny little guy to beat him up, it was a nice character arc for George. And especially for Elaine, who, as a teenager, starts off really loving her own kid. Sweet home Alabama. I can't help it, guys. I am so sorry. It was too obvious of a joke. But I would say that her character development is probably the weakest, because she just wants Marty McFly. And she just felt like she's a character in the background that all the characters are after. And by the end, she does have a bit of a character development, as she's starting to not have feelings for Marty McFly anymore after she kissed him. I swear to you, this is a family movie. It's rated PG, okay? And then when she kisses him, she's very weirded out. Like, she doesn't understand what's going on. Why is this boy, who I'm in love with, why does it feel wrong? And then once George McFly comes in on the same scene within a matter of minutes and saves her, it actually felt natural in how she actually sees George McFly, because with Marty, she just sees him as someone who she really wants to bang. But with George, you could really see in her eyes that this is someone who she really wants to have a serious relationship with and really spend most of her life with. And that's due to Lea Thompson's performance here. I think she is pretty underrated in this movie. But yeah, all the characters basically in this movie are what make this movie so great. How they interact with one another, their relationships, their character developments, no matter how little or small it is, ends up mattering in the long run. I absolutely love the characters of Back to the Future. Future. Also, Dean Cundy shot this movie so beautifully. The way the town is shot, how it feels like in old town, both in the past and how it looked like in the 80s. I think the production design here is all great, but also how it's shot and framed so perfectly. It's not the flashiest cinematography, but I think it is really good for what it is. Overall, this movie is absolutely fantastic. Alan Silvestri's score is really, really fantastic, and I'm so upset that it wasn't even nominated for an Oscar. Back to the Future is one of those movies that isn't perfect, because there's some effects here and there that are a bit dated, but as a story and as a landmark for cinema, I think this movie did everything it needed to do perfectly. It executed great characters, a great story, overall great visual effects. This really is the perfect movie, and I'm going to give Back to the Future an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.